Welcome everybody to Robot Builders Night Virtual for November 12th, 2024. Tonight we're going to do the usual, go around the table, talk about what we're working on, what our progress is, and then we'll open up the floor to questions or discussions. Please keep in mind that the meeting is recorded, both video and audio, so if you don't want to be heard or don't want to be seen, turn off your camera and your microphone. With that, I guess we will start with Ray. Ray has a small update.
Sure. Anyway, just doing some testing on the robot, and the kind of the way I structured the program, it's, you know, I have functions that do certain things like move so many centimeters forward or backwards, rotate so many degrees. Another one is, you know, move to the cone where it's actually using the camera to try to center on the cone and bump it with the bumper. And then move GPS is using a GPS RTK setup to direct the robot to try to find where or to get it close to the cone, so then it can use the camera to locate the cone. Anyway, the issue that I've been having, I have 24-volt Go Builda motors. I'm actually running them on a 4S battery pack, which they're pretty good sized packs. They're, I think, 4,500 milliamp hours. So, you know, pretty good discharge rate. And they're 45C, so, you know, supposedly you can draw. I never draw anywhere near the full capacity of the battery because I just don't have anything that draws that much current. I imagine a short would draw that much current, but hopefully I'll never encounter that. Anyway, so all of kind of the issue is that after it runs in a while, it is a skid steer, so it takes a little bit more power than just a straight two-wheel differential drive robot, especially in taller grass, to be able to turn. And I noticed I know one of the batteries, one of the cells pretty much died, so and when they die, they short. So you can still use the other the other batteries in the pack. It's just a lower voltage. Ooh, that's a weird echo. Anyway. Ooh, I think it's coming through your mic, Pat. That's weird. Okay. Anyway, so I was going, it seems like after just running for a few minutes, the battery voltage drops pretty quickly. I don't think I'm drawing that much current, although I could look at the RoboClaw and it would tell me how much current it's drawing. I think a lot of these battery packs are getting older, and I don't know that their capacity is that great anymore. And like I said, two of them, one of the cells went out, so instead of a 3S or 4S, it's a 3S now. But I'm gonna still try putting two in series and seeing if it solves the problem. I think with the encoders there, the maximum number of pulses per second is like 3,000. And to get it to move, I have to go about 1/3 that level, just because of the additional power it takes to push a skid steer around, or a skid steer setup. If I go any below that, it doesn't seem to move, or it could get stuck, and the motor driver is only going to try to run so much current through it. but it doesn't seem like it's enough to overcome it. So that's why I wanted to go to, a higher voltage to see if that fixed it. So that's what I did on the previous platform, and those basically you could sit there and spin the wheels on the other robot at a slow rate, and it would just keep spinning. It wasn't drawing that much current, but it had enough torque to overcome, just the friction with the grass and driving a skid steer setup. I may have chose the wrong motors. I chose them for, I think these were closer to, I want to say 260 RPM, at the gearbox or after the gearbox. Because once you get down, finding a cone, bumping into it, getting onto the next cone, it's kind of a speed contest. And I didn't, I wanted faster speed, not slower speed. But the one at, I think, I don't know, I think closer to 100 RPMs has not quite double the torque, but a lot more torque. So I think it could drive it, but it's not going to be able to attain a higher speed or higher maximum speed. So hopefully I didn't make the wrong choice in motors and picked one that was too fast but didn't have enough torque, and I can overcome it by increasing the voltage that the motor runs off. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm battling right now. So I've had these batteries for several years. They're all, I don't know if anybody else has used ZOP Power. It's ZOP Power. They seem to be pretty good batteries, seem to have pretty good reviews. But the fact that two of them now have had one cell each go out in them, and the one is actually getting a little puffy, so on where the cell is bad. It's a good thing, I guess they short when they go bad, so you don't have to tear apart the pack and get the bad cell out and try to put it all back together or something. So it doesn't seem to affect how much current they can provide. It's just a dead cell or a shorted cell. So anyway, so that is what I've been battling. Hopefully, let's see, what is it? Today's the 12th. I got like 11 more days maybe, because, contest is coming up soon. So I hope I can get this resolved before. So the kind of the thing of going to four-wheel, a skid steer or four-wheel drive, the other platform seems like it could get stuck. It wasn't because the motors didn't have enough torque, because the wheels would just sit there and spin. But the issue was the rear caster, and I've kind of gone off on all tangents. I was gonna have a setup like what's his name? I can't think of his name. Scott, where he had they called it the reverse tractor and put a bigger caster on the back, because I only have a 3-inch caster, and this was a 6-inch caster, but decided to pursue the four-wheel drive or skid steer approach. And so I guess I gotta try to get it all done before the contest, and hopefully I will. So that's all I had. Dead silence.
Thanks, Ray. I appreciate that. I've been, well, before I say anything, I'll ask Kareem, do you have anything by chance?
Sorry, I do not.
Well,
My tease will remain a tease.
I was hoping you would, because Ray was our only presenter that volunteered tonight.
Oh, okay.
I've been
Yes.
unable to do any work this week. I've been out of town since Thursday last week. So unfortunately, I did get some work done on Friday or Thursday night after traveling, and I started converting my background communications over to Redis. But I have not done substantial amount of work on it. So I have the Redis server installed. I've got a few routines converted over, but I'm still having to do that. And I'm going hunting this weekend as well. So that's going to interfere with roboting and see where we get. So there's not much time left. I have about a week's time left to complete the robot, basically before the competition next weekend.
I have something I can show since I did find two things. One's not robot, but one is sort of. So I'll show you that. And once I click on something, there we go. And let's see, window. I think we need to go there. I want to go there. And yeah, I'll go there. So the first thing I found, so are you seeing the string?
Mm-hmm.
Since I found this and it serves humor, even though it's past Halloween, but there's a candied bucket. And it looks like they use, if I remember right, reading it, a raspberry. So they were using a raspberry and then long range info. I don't know why they wanted that. I guess so that figure it's a person versus an object. And then they're using curl and fusion. The fusion to design it.
So is it kind of like a Chinese, finger cuff? You stick your hand in there and you can't get it out or something?
I don't think so. I think I think the lid opens up is what I think it does. But let's see what it exactly, if there's a video here or something. There's where they design it. That's where they connect the parts. I see them.
John, there was a video link below the top picture.
Oh, you did see it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's code. I'll get to the top since I'm already halfway through. So it looks like they have lots of code here. I'm like, wow. Okay. Okay, there's where they cut out the thing. We'll go to the top. So where do you see the button to run it? I don't see anything. Yeah, that's just the picture.
A
Unless
little
you're
bit below the picture, there's a bar link. Keep going down.
okay.
A little more.
Oh,
There it is.
there. Okay. You have to download it. So
Got to download it.
okay. Run. I may or may not have the player for it. Okay. I don't know where. Okay. I don't know if you're seeing the video. It's probably another window, I'm thinking. I may have to click somewhere else.
I got a question for Kareem.
Yeah.
Oh, John, we should probably wait till John's done.
Well,
He's
right now
looking-
I'm tracking down the share the window thing. and it, for some reason, doesn't want to share. Did I not stop the share?
You did.
Okay, turn. Oh, I was clicking on the wrong thing. That's why. Where's the share? Share. Come on. Present now. There we are. Okay, render. That's the one we want to go with. So, oh, okay, yeah. It looks like it's a matter of temperature or something. They must be using temperature when they put their hand on that because, yeah, that really didn't show anything to me. Or they walk up and it looks like they put their hand over it and then it opens. So, okay. And then the other thing I wanted to show was that one. Yeah. So, let's see, back to hunt down that button. Oh, there we are. Okay. Window. Well, the other thing I found, as I said, this one's not really, as far as I can tell, anything other than a motor run that looks nice. It's one of those sand type drawing things where they use a magnet. In this case, though, it's just a motor driven thing. I've seen one where they use an Adria to run with sonar or stuff, but this one is just gear base. It looks like.
It's like it's got a lot of gears in it.
Well, yes, very gear based, as you can see. And then they use, what type of motor did they use? Just more, okay. Yeah, just a basic, basic motor. 5. But yeah, they have lots and lots of gears. But it looks so nice. It's different. So those were the two things I found. To that, there.
Well, that's kind of interesting. So you've seen the pulling magnets through sand, huh? Before?
Yeah, before. Yeah, there's been a couple designs. This one doesn't use an Adria board to do the movement. And they'll tend to use string or pulley type things. This one is just pure driven by gear.
If it's like the old spirographs, you use
Basically,
different
that's
gears
what
and
I'm
get
thinking.
different patterns or something. Who knows? That's interesting.
Thanks, John. Ray, you had a question for Kareem.
Yes. I'm running into a situation where if my speed on my motors is not fast enough to overcome kind of the friction, I have a skid steer platform. It seems to be pulling my battery voltage down. And I wondered, these are, I don't know, some of these are probably approaching 4 or 5 years old. I don't know if their capacity is going down because they're getting older or what, but wondered if you ever experienced that. I know you said you like the Rex motor that you could stack different ratios of gears on, and wondered if you ever came into the situation where you started out with a higher speed and realized that, it was drawing too much current and you had to go to a lower speed and, to get more torque out of the motors or something.
Yeah, sure. I don't know that my experience is anything particularly unique on that, but you do need to match your if your motors are trying too hard because your gear ratio is set for too much speed, and they just can't produce the acceleration it needs to get started,
Mm,
or get you out of those situations where you're running into like skid steer resistance
yeah,
when you're trying to turn and that kind of stuff. Then yeah,
Yep.
you're definitely either your motors are too small, or your batteries can't supply the current, or
yeah,
it's one of those things, and you just got to get into the right place on the power curve.
the right combination, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it does help with being able to easily dial in by adding, different stages of a planetary stack.
yeah,
That's like just about the fastest way that I've found to experimentally dial in
mm,
whatever is the right combination for the motor you happen to have for the platform that you're stuck
yeah,
with.
that you have. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can, these are Go Builda motors. They're the 24-volt ones, the higher power.
Yeah.
The right now I'm running it on a 4S, but I've noticed that the voltage drops down, and then the RoboClaw is set up to turn off when the voltage goes down below a certain amount. So I can, there's a little red LED that comes on when that happens, and
Right.
so but yeah, I selected the motor for higher speed because I was thinking,
You wanted to really buck,
yeah,
cut down that total transportation time, right?
yeah, yeah,
To be competitive. But yeah, that's
yeah,
particularly with a skid steer. That's a harder situation to deal with, because in most, almost all skid steering applications you see, they're designed more around torque and low speed than they are around
high speed,
yeah, high
higher
speed
speed,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you can always change it by going to a smaller. What are you using, sprockets, or what are you doing? Is it a chain drive or internal?
Um,
What are you doing?
it's Go
Belts.
Builda set up for belt
Is
drive.
this? Oh, this is the belt drive one.
Yeah,
Oh, with their standard chassis kind of situation.
yeah, they're they have
Yeah.
U channel, and you can get two, I guess you call them cogs, belt cogs. And I picked the largest one that would fit in the U channel in there, because they have like a bunch of stamped holes, and
Yeah. But that's like, that doesn't let you change it. Like, especially if you're putting your axles through the channels as well,
yeah,
that doesn't let you put a bigger pulley on the
right.
on the wheels, which is
That's
probably
true.
your best bet
Yeah. Slow it
if,
down a little,
if
maybe.
you wanna do something without actually changing your gear head.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. The on one side of the skid steer, there's a wheel that's connected to the motor shaft, and then on the motor shaft, there's a belt cog that goes to the other wheel. So one is,
Oh, one's direct drive.
yeah, one's driven by the motor directly, and the other one is driven by the belt.
Oh, then you're totally out of luck. Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah,
can't.
yeah,
Well, because you can't just change the belts and get a new gear ratio on all four wheels.
right.
So
Yeah,
yeah, so now you're really talking about changing the gear head.
yeah, yeah. Or I guess the other thing I wanted to try is to run it on two batteries in series, because I can go up to 24 volts. Right now I'm running it on just a 4S pack. I could go to I guess a 7S pack, or actually a 6S.
Yeah, that'll actually make us a considerable difference.
Mhm.
If those are 24-volt motors nominal, then
Yeah,
they'll do a lot better under the higher
the higher voltage. Yeah,
voltage that you can provide. Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, you've got enough batteries to at least test that, right?
yeah.
You got two of them at least, so you
Hmm.
could not worry about the capacity so much, but just put them in serial. and see what that does.
Yeah, see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now, at, with one 4S pack, I think they do it in, the number of pulses per second. So it's like 3,000. And to get the thing to move, I have to, it has to be pretty close to 1,000. If it's any lower than that,
what?
then it just doesn't have enough, torque to overcome the friction and stuff.
Did you say the
So,
range was 3,000?
yeah,
So about a third power before it even starts moving?
that's right. Yeah.
And is
So
that just straight on level ground, like indoors or
no, that's outdoors.
outdoors in grass?
Yeah, it could be, I can basically cut it in half if it's indoors and, you're running on a low friction surface.
It still does sound like you're sorely missing that top end voltage.
Yeah. It's not too difficult of a change to make. But so
You're
it's
just
either
doing you're doing a
different motors.
third of a 4S basically.
Yeah, right now. That's pretty much what it runs
Just to
at.
get it going. Yeah.
Yeah, to do rotations in place or it moving close to a straight line, isn't really an issue. It's rotating or doing avoidance maneuvers where you rotate in one direction, back up, rotate in another direction, move forward kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's where I noticed that it really kind of gets bogged down. So, all right, I'll try that and hopefully it'll work because I don't think there's time to get another
There's
motor.
yeah, probably not. Yeah.
Yeah,
I had
thought
a
about
question.
that. Higher torque or more speed? I went for the speed. So, yeah.
I had a question about your battery pack, Ray.
Yeah.
Maybe Kareem could help out and answer, or one of the other guys. But Ray has his battery, his 4S battery pack has a bad cell, and I'm just wondering, thinking to myself, because Ray had mentioned that cell seems to be shorting out, like shorted, and so it's not providing any or much voltage. But under load condition, would that become a high resistance in the pack? Do you know?
It might. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, you should not be running you're saying you got a almost dead cell in that pack?
Yeah, there's two of these ZOP batteries. I don't know if you have any experience ZOP Power.
Not that particular brand, but that's a very typical LiPo construction that a lot of hobby packs use.
Yep. Anyway, two of the 4S's have one bad cell, but it still seems to work. As a 3-cell battery now. So I haven't,
Are you saying you somehow rewired it so that you're bypassing that bad cell, or you're just pushing the electrons through that cell?
It seems to work.
I don't think it may seem to work, but that's not going to give you a high current situation. That is not going to help.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. That's going to provide a high resistance.
It may also be a fire hazard.
I don't know. One of them got a little puffy, but not too bad. Certainly not. Carl's battery, was definitely puffy. I mean, this thing is just a little swollen in the bad cell, but still seems to be working.
Well, we've all heard about Mr. Anderson's problem with.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess
battery.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You keep this robot in your house?
Oh yeah. Yeah, all the battery packs are. So
he keeps them in the wood pile.
Yeah. In the fireplace. No.
Right beside the fireplace. So
yeah. Anyway, what batteries, have you used? I mean, ZOP Power seemed to get pretty good reviews, and these aren't brand new. I mean, they're probably 4 or 5 years old at this point, but 2 of the 5 batteries that I have one cell shorted in them. So
I'd have to go, that's not the kind of thing I keep in my head, like what brand they are. I just know them by sight. Names are a thing that always escape me, so I'd have to go down and find them to be sure.
yeah.
I have found some pretty good brands, but I'm not using any of those right now because for the for the teams I run, they're not allowed to use LiPos or lithium ion. They have to use nickel metal hydride. And for the bigger robots I'm running now, I'm using LiPo4s instead. So
yeah, that's supposed to be much more safe chemistry, I guess.
That's a pretty safe chemistry and sort of inherently compatible with the 12-volt setup that I run. So yeah, I haven't actually started up a robot with one of my lithium packs for a while, other than the little Wave Rover thing with its standard 18650 cells.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I know there's ZOP Power seems to be common. God, there's another one too.
I guess I could look it up in my Amazon history. Oh no, I usually got those directly from Hobby Power, I think, or
yeah, all the ones that I currently have out are ZOP Powers. But okay, yeah, I'm gonna try to switch it to 24 volts, see what happens. Hopefully it, produces a little bit more torque and hopefully consumes a little less current at the higher voltage. So hopefully that'll do it.
Oh, I have used
thanks, Rick.
I have used the Z brand. I'll throw a link in the Discord or in the I just threw a link in the message in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah, with straight lithiums, it seems like everybody's had the puffy battery situation.
It'll end up happening, yeah.
Yeah. Some of the ones that Ron Grant brought in, I think they were, I don't know. I've never seen batteries so puffy. I mean, it looked like, the little package, if you poked it, it would have exploded or something. He brought them into, I think somebody took them, but I think they were given a warning, take it your own risk. So
yeah, there's a time to put them away and just go get fresh.
That would be me, and they're still sitting over here doing absolutely nothing. And I have not decided what to do with them, if we go anything that I will do. Although now that it's getting a little colder, I do need some, firewood starting fire, some fire starters for my fireplace.
There you go.
Put a nail in a stick and hit the battery. It'll light up.
Yeah.
Yeah, supposedly the ones that are, I don't know what that material is, but the bag batteries are supposed to be like puncture resistant. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the tests they did was, have something poke through that thing to see if it would be okay,
Yeah, if it started chemical reaction or not.
Catastrophic, right?
I usually get the hard shell casing around my LiPos. Just for that reason, but that still won't stop them from, like, if they start going bad, they'll still explode. They're just less likely to be damaged by external impacts.
I actually did have a Black & Decker charger. I didn't realize that I've had it for years at the time. It actually had a recall for starting fires with the nickel metal hydride batteries that you'd use like on the bottom of a drill or something. And
It's pretty hard to get those to go on fire.
yeah, the put an older pack on a newer charger, and pretty much the charger was smoking, and it ruined the battery that was plugged into it. And which
Turnigi is a good brand.
Which
I've
brand?
had plenty of those. Turnigi.
Oh,
Turnigi or Turnigi.
yeah.
These are the aforementioned batteries I got from Ron Grant.
Oh, all right.
They're a little puffy. If you can see, it's hard to see. It's got a little puff.
Yeah.
Not a lot of puff. I did manage to charge them up one time off a charger. It took like forever, but I haven't plugged them in since. They've just kind of been sitting. Probably, some kind of bomb waiting to go off or something, but
Yeah. They're not looking too bad, though.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
If somebody else would like to try these out and see if they blow out, I could bring them up to the makerspace. Happy to do so.
You may have a customer in Ray.
Happy
I
to
don't
do
know. I've got enough bad batteries as it is.
okay. Here's a
Yeah,
lot.
I know. I think I want to say AliExpress changed the way they ship batteries. It seems like it takes a lot longer now, at least the lithium ion ones. I think there's only certain carriers that take them, and it has to be clearly labeled. It's contains a lithium ion battery inside the box or something. But I've had the little AA lithium iron phosphate ones short out, and actually threw one on my driveway and let it hiss and pop all night, so until it finally discharged itself. So
I think I've got most of my with LiPos from Hobby King, just for the pricing that they can do.
yeah. So the lithium iron phosphate ones that you bought, did you buy like a Battleborn or something like that, or?
No. I think that's like overhyped. I don't believe that there's that huge of a difference. You can find lower end manufacturers that still have lots of great reviews and are probably fairly similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with Battleborn, you're probably paying for that warranty. It's the battery costs twice as much, but it's got a great warranty. So
that's the way you want to go. More power to you. That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm usually willing to risk it a little bit and see how it goes.
Yeah.
I've been happy with the ones that I got.
Okay. So Z Power, you think, was the name of the one, huh?
That was that particular. I put it in the chat, and that particular model is no longer available. But I was happy with those batteries.
Oh yeah, Z. Yeah. I think I may have had one of those at one point. Huh. All right. Yeah. How much does are the Rex motors with the stackable planetaries? Are those pretty expensive?
The Rex motors, the Go Builda stuff doesn't have stackable planetaries.
Yeah, but I thought Rex did.
That's Rev.
Rev, sorry.
Yeah. No, they're not super pricey. I mean, they're a little bit pricier because of the flexibility you get, and you got to be careful in how you torque them when you put them together. But we've sort of learned how to deal with that, and we like them. They're like, just look it up real quick. So what did I do? It's my browser.
Yeah, I think the Go Buildas.
They're a little more than the Go Buildas, and you may end up buying more ultraplanetary stages to get, because you get basically a 3, a 4, and a 5. And if you although that, that'll give you 125. No, it'll give you about a 60 to 1 roughly. But you could buy like up to 3 5s. You could stack 3 5s, but you'd have to buy 2 extra 5s to get them. But you can get up to 125 to 1.
Yeah, I think. Go Builda. Yeah, the ones that I got are the Saturn planetary gear motors. It was with the extended shaft, it was $59.99, $60.
Well, the standard ultra planetary is 45. But these aren't 24 volt motors; these are 12 volt.
12s, yeah.
In order to get into the higher power ones, you start to run into gearbox limitations. Like for I put the link in the chat as well. For the standard ultra planetary, which is what we run on our robots, you can use a 5.5 and a 5 for that 125 to 1. But if you go to one of their BLDC motors, they have a BLDC motor that can use this thing, this ultraplanetary gearbox, but you'll hit the limits of the gearbox if you can't go to 555 on those.
Oh, okay. So it'll shear teeth off the inside.
Well, I don't know. I haven't tried to run it that high, but you can look at their gear tables, and they'll say, they say don't run that motor with too high of a reduction. Because clearly that is probably the failure mode. It'll shear teeth.
Yep. So are those all metal, or is like the pinion on the motor plastic, or?
No, all the gears are metal.
All metal, yeah.
Yep, all the way through. The casing is partly plastic. It's like a fiberglass reinforced something or other, but it also has metal components in the casing. So it's sturdy. I've never actually had one of those fail, except some very early production run. They had a problem with some of their stages were just a tiny bit too thick. And they ran into some problems, but they seem to have fixed all that up, and they've got a better gear head on the output with a pretty heavy duty bearing on it. I don't even use so it has the ability to accept a 5mm hex shaft for the output.
Yeah.
But we never use that. We just use the bolt pattern on the hub, on the output shaft, output hub. And it's way stronger.
So you just bolt a wheel to that or something?
Well, no, even then we never direct drive wheels. I just don't let my teams do that. So let me put that a different way. I would never let them hang a wheel directly off of that without it also being supported on the other side.
Oh, okay.
With the bearing.
So no cantilevered shafts out there.
Yeah, I just don't let them do that because they don't take enough care, and most of the shafts that we have available just can't support that.
Yeah.
If there's one motor in our competition arena that could do it, it's this one, because it does have the best output bearing hub, I guess, of all the different brands that I've seen. But I still don't recommend it.
Yeah. What's kind of nice about the Go Builda with the longer motor shafts, you can stick it all the way through the U channel and still have enough, and
but then you're using that U channel, and you've got bearings on both sides of that usually,
Yeah.
right, to
Yep.
support the shaft.
Yep.
So the 8mm Rex are pretty good shafts, and you can go up to the 12mm, which is effectively a 1/2 inch.
Yeah. Right.
And those are pretty sturdy as well.
Yep. Hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting thing when it's.
Oh, and by the way, there is a adapter that will let you take that output hub on the ultraplanetary and connect it to a standard 8mm Rex shaft from Go Builda.
Hmm.
So that makes it like easy to plug in. And there's also a Go Builda also has a motor mount that works for the ultraplanetary to connect it to their chassis construction, their U channels.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that's proprietary. It's not compatible with Go Builda or anybody else, or
No, I'm saying that's for putting a Rev motor, a Rev ultraplanetary
okay.
into a Go Builda chassis.
Yep.
Right? It's Go Builda that produces these things. So
It is.
so they have an 8mm Rex output shaft that connects to an ultraplanetary, and they have a motor mount that lets you put a ultraplanetary into their chassis.
Okay.
To make it real easy for teams to interoperate between the different build systems.
Yeah. Yeah. What's kind of nice about the Go Builda is the make block stuff, which is a lot smaller, extruded aluminum that's drilled, and it's compatible with Go Builda. So if you need a little piece of aluminum somewhere, you can pretty much bolt it anywhere along a U channel, and it'll fit. So
a lot of those manufacturers also standardize on 8mm spacing.
Oh, do they? Yeah.
So that also makes it easier to connect Rev and Go Builda stuff together.
Yeah, when Thanos was closing, I tried to corner the market on all of his make block stuff. I think every time I went there, it's like, okay, I'm going to see what other Go Builda, or not Go Builda, make block stuff he has. And it was dirt cheap. So, and they make pretty good chassis for smaller robots. Yeah, I don't think I have I have the first chassis that I made with, it was like erector set stuff, but after that, everything's been make block. So
I wonder if they're owned by the same company, because basically Servo City and Go Builda are the same company.
Oh, there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
There's some sort of joint ownership there going on there.
Yeah, I think the make block stuff, if it wasn't for Tanner's, it would be a little on the pricey side, I think. So, but he was discounting them pretty heavy. I think maybe, half of what the retail cost would have been. So,
well, good luck on getting your chassis to move about more adroitly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird problem. It's, just you never really know how it's going to perform until you put it all together and test it. And it's like, damn.
I was planning on entering my robot in Robo Columbus, but I've got all day competition that day with my teams. So it just turned out to be a bad schedule thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you saw Scott's, he played a video last week of his robot. He's got 3, I don't know if they're Benawaki type, laser rangefinders, single point.
Yeah.
And, it looks looks pretty good. He may have found the obstacle avoidance combination of sensors that, performs well in different environments and against different targets. And
Yeah, it's always the distance outdoors that gets you with the laser ones. At the budget ranges we're normally in. So
yeah,
it'd be good to see if that works out.
yeah. So far it looks like it's going to work for him. I had one of the older before Garmin, I think it was Laser Light. That was good for 40 meters and
in sunlight.
Yeah, in sunlight outside. It was laser. It wasn't LED. I think some of the smaller ones are actually LED based. Yeah, it seemed to, I could get pretty good distance detection off of a brick wall inside of my house. Accurate enough to, be able to position a mower to mow. So if I was, trying to key off the building and determining how far out I should be or how close, or of course that only works as long as your wall is, so
Mm-hmm.
just can't mow the other areas, So, anyway. So are you kind of transitioning to three-phase brushless motors now, or are you still finding use in the DC motors, or?
Doing both. The brushless motors are not legal in the competition, so we're stuck with normal brushed for that. But for my own stuff, for my own experiments, I'm playing around with all sorts of different things.
Yep.
They also have Rev also has, so the Rev BLDC drivers are kind of pricey. It's called SparkMax, and they're like $75-$80 or something like that, just for controlling one motor. But they work well, and they got two different size motors. There's they got the larger one that's sort of a replacement for what you see in the larger FRC robots. It's not a huge motor, but it's pretty powerful compared to what I see the club doing. It'll drive a 100-pound robot just fine.
Wow.
So yeah, it seems like that's a well-built solution. What's the name of that other? They started out sort of open source. Their things drive two motors usually.
RoboClaw?
No, not RoboClaw. There's another one.
Are you thinking about O-Drive?
Yeah, O-Drive. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah. And so these seem to work about equivalently, and I guess price-wise, they end up being somewhat similar because the O-Drives are kind of went up in price a little bit. So it's they're somewhat equivalent, and I guess the one of the things you have to one of the benefits is that you really don't have to worry about the brushes anymore, and the performance is just absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were looking at I think it was like an integrated solution. It was, motor, driver. I think it was CAN bus based.
Oh yeah, I haven't had a chance to play with those.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've just been too busy with other stuff, mostly RAWs, kind of stuff. So they're just sitting here in a box waiting for me to get to them. But those were more like they're pretty high reduction and they were more oriented towards things like robot arms and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I look forward to playing with those. But yeah, they're actually cheaper than like the stuff that I was just talking about with Rev, because you get the driver, the ones that I bought about $99. Now they're not going to be as powerful as the larger Rev. The heck is the name of the motor? Neo. It's not going to be that powerful. But you don't want something that powerful that's swinging an arm around near a human. But yeah, they were like $99 so you get the motor and the driver together. If they work out, should be cool.
So are they large enough to mount a wheel to? Or do they make wheels?
You could. Yeah.
Yeah.
You certainly could.
Yep. I think like some of the smaller brushless motors for like the indoor contest size robots, it seems like they have open frames. I guess if you better not be near any metal filings, iron filings. I'm sure that thing would be like jammed shut, or you probably have to pick out individual pieces of metal. The magnets are strong, so that wouldn't be easy to do. So
yeah, these are completely sealed.
Yeah.
And they seem really sturdy too. So yeah, you could use them as a hub motor, I think. I just don't know what their how much starting torque that they would necessarily have. It's probably pretty decent though. But I don't know until I actually hook them up and start playing with them. It's just I just didn't find the time for the learning curve around CAN bus. That's just something I've done a lot of research on it, but I hadn't got around to actually starting to play with some libraries and really learning it through.
Yeah, I imagine a good library is key. Does anybody really want to delve into all the intricacies of send these bytes,
sure don't.
this value, and
exactly
this bit field, and
the Rev SparkMax, their driver is nice because you can connect to it over CAN bus, I2C, or USB. So pretty flexible.
Yep.
So you got 10 days.
Yep.
Get with
Not
it, guys.
a long time.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, do you have anything today? We can't hear you, right? Tom, did you have anything to present tonight?
Well, I can show you my new chassis.
Okay.
There you go.
I mentioned a week ago that I clearly had to do something, so I did. Let me just share a picture with you. You can see that picture?
Yep.
So the left-hand picture is my old chassis, the old two-wheel drive one, and the one on the right is the new chassis. The Intruder was the brand name of this somewhat higher level toy radio controlled truck. I was very, very happy that apart from the changes I had to make to the chassis to make it usable, a bigger battery compartment and a servo to operate the steering, and of course remove all the parts that didn't look like a robot. And I was able to move this white deck that contains all the electronics, just undo the bolts that held it onto the old chassis and arranged to place it on matching bolts on the new one. It worked out quite well. I'm quite happy with it. It provides me with a substantial number of improvements, and I kind of summarized them here. It is a smaller robot, which is why I did not use it originally. It's a 1/15th scale radio controlled vehicle as opposed to 1/10th scale, which was the old one. So the wheelbase is shorter. It's a little narrower across. The deck with the electronics sits an inch higher than it did on the old chassis. So in addition to having a smaller wheelbase, it sits up higher. So a little bit higher center of gravity, a bit of a concern. Wheel diameter is smaller, 4 inches versus 5. It's 4-wheel drive instead of 2-wheel drive. It has differentials. The old one had no differentials. The new one has a top speed of about 300 RPM at 12 volts. The old one was 500. Combined with 4-inch wheels, that produces a substantially lower ground speed, which is good, I think. The motor is quite a bit more powerful. Rated in simplistic terms, the old motor would stall at 1.6 amps at 5 volts. The new one has a stall current of 3.8 amps. So that's a substantial improvement. The steering mechanism is different and better, and I can get plus and minus 25 degrees of steering from the front wheels with the servo I installed as opposed to 15 in the old one. This new one has a suspension. I don't know that that's a good thing, but it does have a spring suspension on it as well. It weighs more. It weighs about 2.5 kilograms as opposed to the old one, which weighed about 1.5. I showed these curves. I showed these curves. Sorry, I can hear some reverb there somewhere.
Yeah, it looks like it's Pat's mic again.
Okay, so I've showed these curves here because I like to take a measure of the speed response curve of the motor and gearbox. The upper one is the old system. The red is on 8 volts and the blue is on 12 volts, 2S and 3S motors, batteries. The curve is a characteristic response curve for cheap motors. And it says that the motor's magnetic fields rapidly saturate as you go up in speed. The bottom one is really nice. Apart from this little bump here, it looks to me like the magnetic fields don't saturate at all. So this thing produces good torque over its entire range. And because it's pretty linear, I'm not worried at all about the fact that if I give it a particular pulse width modulation reference, then I will get a correspondingly simple speed out of it. So I'm not worried about providing any form of speed regulation. The little bump in the middle on the 12-volt path is because I stopped halfway through and then restarted the test. And I think that's where the bump came from. It probably should be somewhat straighter. So overall, it looks like this thing is running well. The H-bridge I'm using on it is an old school L298N. So it's bipolar transistors, and it's configured for dynamic braking. And what that means with this configuration is that when you run this thing up to speed and tell it to stop, it stops on a dime. So I've had to build in some decel and accel ramps into the speed control subsystem just to prevent the thing from behaving too poorly when I attempt to change the speed too quickly. And those ramps are working very, very well. So I've got really good control on this thing, very good steering system. I'm overall quite happy with it. I may or may not have mentioned the GPS that I was using on board had failed. Not sure why. I have a spare, so I put the spare on, which is working fine. With doing a little bit of substitution testing, the failure is in the RF antenna module associated with this GPS. It's a 2-part GPS, and the antenna RF module failed. The other part works fine. And I should mention, I had been talking a month or so ago about testing my GPSs and what the best way was to do GPS visualization. I've now discovered that the U-Blocks, because I'm using U-Blocks GPSs, that the U-Blocks U-Center tool, the first version of the U-Center tool, works just fine with my 6M, Neil 6M GPSs. I'm really amazed with that tool. One of you had been using it and mentioned it earlier. You were using it with an 8M, I think.
Yeah.
I am really impressed with that tool. It tells me so much more about my GPS and and the things it's actually doing in terms of reliability and accuracy. So I'm quite happy with that tool.
Yeah, I think one of the utilities that I found was there's a suggestion, like if you question whether your radio link is good, you could actually hook the radio receiver to U-blocks, and it would tell you, if it recognized like RTCM3 messages, or if there were any errors in it. And it was like, wow, to just have that capability alone was, a real time saver. And
now I'm using 6Ms, which are relatively simple GPSs, but they still work quite well. Not quite as well as an 8M, but they're still very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed I'm using the uCenter version 1 software tool. I noticed they have a version 2, which, as you pointed out, Ray, has even more capability, although for devices I don't own. So,
right.
Yep. Yeah, it's a nice tool. So my GPS is looking good. I have a compass working again in basic 2D mode, so I'm comfortable with a compass. It really needs tilt compensation. I'm not sure what to do about it. I shall have to take another run at the math. I can get the compass working in 2D mode. I can get stable, repeatable calibrations in 2D mode. I can get pitch and roll to work because the compass I'm using is both magnetometers and accelerometers. So I can get useful pitch and roll numbers. So from that point on, tilt compensation is just not trivial, but straightforward math. And I'm managing to screw it up. I don't know how. I got to look at it when I have time. But I'll start with 2D compass bearings and see if they're useful to me. I'll filter them heavily and see what happens. I've started to work on some collision avoidance logic. I already have latitude, longitude, path navigation working without having it running on the motor. So this week I have to test it on the ground on the motor out in the backyard. We'll see where that takes us. I'm still aiming for that 1 point, Pat.
I'm doing the same thing. 1 point, 10 feet from a cone.
Yeah, I would say, the curves that you were seeing there, Tom, on the top motor, the one that I guess you're not using anymore.
Right.
That's another cause of that can be if you got the wrong PWM's frequency. So, I mean, I'm not saying you're through it, forget it, take them and throw them in a box. Don't worry about them. But I'm just saying that's one of the messing with the PWM can help. If you have, Uno is probably not going to work, or Mega is not going to work too good. But if you have the ESP32, you have a lot more range in the PWM frequency.
Yeah, I'm a strong advocate of slower PWM rates based on some papers that I've read on the topic that says for smaller motors, you get much better low range control.
Yeah. Well,
so I'm running them at 200 hertz.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the exact same H bridges and the exact same software logic driving these two tests.
Yeah.
Because all I did was I basically pulled the chassis and the motor out from underneath the deck and plugged in the new one.
Well, that's good. That sounds like you made a big, you're on the way. How about you, Pat? I'm sorry I jumped in late. So just a thumbs up or a thumbs down. How you doing?
I am out of town. You see, I'm in a hotel room. So I'm out of town. I haven't worked on it since Thursday night.
Oh, I got you. Okay. I know how that is. I've been working on mine, but anyway, when we get to free talk, I'm gonna mention something. But go ahead.
So were you done, Tom?
Yeah, I'm done.
I was going to see if he's been on. I haven't seen him at his desk in a bit. But Harold, do you have anything to present tonight? We're not hearing you, Harold.
No, not just a whole lot. We're about to send off all those toys, and with the help of folks like Paul and some others and then some friends, and and both of my printers going, and I can show you all the spools I went through. In fact, can you see? You can't see the from here anyway. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 rolls of filament over there that I burned through, and that produced with some other, that's just not me, but some other people that were burning through filament, probably almost 600 toys that
Whoa,
we're going to make.
that's cool.
Yeah, and Loyal is trying to go for 50,000, and it's somewhere around December 1st, or the 1st of December. He's going to be heading down this way to Polymaker, which is in Missouri City, southwest of Houston. And just to let you know, not that you're going to make a trek or whatever, but he usually when he shows up here, he's going to be an event, and I'm going to try to go down there. And if I can snag some more filament, I certainly will. You know, I don't really know what's going to go on, but he'll be running through here with his F-350 and a horse trailer full of black boxes with yellow lids that are full of these plastic toys. And so I'll let everybody know. I also sent something else. Oh yeah, I did send something out to the list, to the Google groups yesterday. There's a DigiCert seminar going on tomorrow. It's free. You sign up, and it's talking about Raspberry Pi and imaging. I figured that might be of interest to some folks, so I put it out through the mailing list, and hopefully it made it through, and you saw that. That's what that was, if that didn't come through in the email.
Should point out that if you can't attend live, you should still register, because then you have access to the recorded version.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's a good point. And so we talk a lot about imaging and things here, so I figured it was kind of relevant to send it out. And I've been ordering filament for Christmas stuff, to print Christmas stuff like crazy, people. Yeah, I burned a lot. I melted a lot of filament, man. I look back on that and I'm like, so 14, 28 plus a little bit, almost 30 pounds of plastic being melted into toys. 30, that's a lot of toys. That's a lot of plastic, man. I'm not sure what the shipping costs are going to be yet. I'm afraid to look.
So you're not bothered by the fumes that can put off?
No, I'm not bothered. All this stuff pretty much has been PLA. It's either upstairs in my office, which during the day I'm not there, or in my garage, which you don't. Hold on. Show you my crazy garage. So if you look right over there, you can see the rows of filament. On the other side of that's the A1, and so I'm in this garage, and it's got plenty of airflow and all that kind of good stuff going on. And my house was built in 1933. It is a permanent draft. There's no, people like, how sealed up is your house for, energy efficiency? And like, I don't even bother. I just don't. So most modern houses down there, the reason they have those heat exchangers and stuff is so they get fresh air in them. They're so tight. It doesn't bother me. I will tell you that ABS used to get to me a little bit, but I don't print with ABS at all these days. I mean, I think I still have a spool or so laying around, but I just don't even bother because I just don't. Most of the other filaments are not that big a deal. Every now and then I'll find some wood filament or something. It smells like, those old pans where you got the base wood and you got the thing that looks like a soldering iron, but it's not. And you go churn the wood or do wood burning. It just smells exactly what you're doing there. Or if you're doing a laser cutter, where the thing's cutting through the lasers, cutting through wood, it smells a lot like that when it goes through. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I've got so much air moving around and stuff, I don't even notice it. Well, I got dogs, pets, and everything, and the dogs and the cats, they have their own smells, and I smell them more than I smell the PLA. Luckily, the garage is a epoxy coated floor, so things clean up real easy. So, yeah.
Hey, Harold, did your P1S come in?
Yes. I've been printing I'm a little underwhelmed with the AMS at the moment because I do not have bamboo branded filament in the plastic spools, and I've been trying to work through how do I get the cardboard spools to work right, and that's a well-known problem. I got 2 of those things just because I wanted to do more than somebody else. You know, I got 4 more than you do. You know, I could do 8 colors, and you can only do 4 of her. You know, but I wanted to try some things, and the P1S itself is going really good, really well. The AMS, I have. I'm doing. I don't trust it quite yet to hit a multicolor print and walk away from it. I just don't. I mean, it's really good about if things get hung up or if we can't pull a filament, it'll warn me and just kind of stop and wait till a human comes and touches it, which a human shouldn't have to.
Yeah. Well, I know that those printed rims for those cardboard rims work really well.
Yep,
especially for inland.
Yeah, I got a mess of those. In fact, I found a couple and I jockeyed around with them a little bit, and some of them work really good. But where the problem I'm having now is that they're just big enough where they don't fully set down all the way where they're expected to be. Although they do mostly, but it gets a little kilter, and once it gets a little kilter, those motors aren't strong enough to do very much to it. And at the very end of the roll, it gets really, really light. And so what's happened the last few times where I've fired it up and run, it told me it could not finish the print because it couldn't retract the filament. And if you'll go in there and look, the filament got retracted all into the AMS. It's just that the spool was so light, it was just bouncing on top of the drive motors and wouldn't turn itself over and suck the filament back out of the sensor. I mean, literally, I yank on it for a half inch maybe, and it goes, "Oh, I'm done," you know. And I'm like, okay, we got to do something better than that. There's a couple of things out there. One of them's called the Hydra, which I think is kind of a hack because you're just replacing a few plastic parts in there. I say kind of a hack. I think it's a Band-Aid. The other thing is that there's something called a Python, where I'm having a hard time bringing myself to my brand new out of the box 250 was 350, but 250 because I got them on special now. And, I got to rip it all out, print a bunch more stuff, and put all that stuff in a different box to redo everything. And I've just having a hard time wanting to do that. So I've got some bamboo filament coming for Christmas, and I should be able to do some multicolor prints for that. That should be fun. I have seen on the marketplace on Facebook, some dude is selling a P1S with an AMS for like $575 out the door. The problem with that is he says the AMS only works sometimes, which I know exactly kind of what it is, and he's lost the top to it, so it's no longer a dry box, not a drying box, but a dry box. And I'm like, and he wants, for that amount of money. I sent him a note. He says he's got 2 AMSs, willing to let him go for $175 a piece. And I said, listen, I sent him a note. I said, I know you said $175 a piece, but here's an offer. I'll give you $100 for both of them because I want them for parts. And because you've already said they don't work all the time and you've lost the covers, this is my offer. Take it or leave it. I'm supposing, I guess he's going to leave it, but we'll see what happens. I said, no, it's out there whenever you get around to it. I'm waiting. I got $100 waiting for you whenever you get ready to, if you ever get ready.
Yeah.
He's probably doing what you're doing, Doug, is that he's found out that most of the things he does is a single filament. So he's just feeding external and he's done. He's good with that. And it works really well, the external filament feeder.
I haven't had any problems with mine, but then again, I haven't done any super color weird stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, one second.
So do those actually pull filament out of, like, say, one extruder and push other filaments in?
Yeah, right. They do. And what they do is, so like you change color, okay? It, in the process, it has a knife in there that literally cuts the filament So now, and then it extracts that filament. Then it goes over to the back of the machine and poops out the rest of the filament that's on the, below the cut. And then it comes back, puts down the new filament into it. And when you're changing colors, you have a lot of weird options. You can hide the color change inside of the print, or you can take it to a tower and do it there. And that's why you almost always see a tower when they change colors. But I'm never, like I say, that part of it doesn't really interest me. I bought it because I figured, well, 2 years from now, it'll be hard to find. And there'll be new ones, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the other thing I thought was, it's really cool that I can load 4 different filaments in there and decide, okay, today I feel like pink. So, you just click on the thing. You don't have to load up a spool or anything, assuming it's one of the 4 you got loaded. So I keep one ABS, one ASA, and two PLAs.
Oh, so you did get an AMS. Somehow I thought you didn't get an AMS. I'm
No,
sorry.
I got AMS. It works fine. And then I bought it for nylon, and the other ones, I bought a Creality dryer box or whatever.
Mhm.
So, I stick, if I'm doing TPU nylon or TPU, if I'm doing either one of those, I put it into dry box for a couple of hours before I do the print.
Yeah. Okay. Did you tell them about one of the biggest uses that I've used and other people have used is that when you can load up 4 spools, if you tell it whether they are or not, if you tell it they're the same color and the same type, and you just start printing. And what will happen is when one spool runs out, it goes, hey, I ran out. Ooh, but I got another one, and I'll use that one. Ooh, but I got another one. And so at that time, if you're really doing some serious printing and doing some things, and you're printing all the same color, you could just keep that thing fully loaded, and it could keep printing, and you're not, go in every now and then, take the print off, hit the repeat print button.
I like the idea that I can use the different materials so easily.
Yeah. And like you do your support, a lot of times I got this roll. I didn't even know what I want to do with it. It's called PLA support material.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sure it's hips or something or somewhere close to that. But it's like, I don't really care about support material. I'm afraid to use it because then I'll always want to use it. So it comes off too easy.
Well, the new slicers are so nice when it comes to support. I mean, it's amazing. Anyway,
it is amazing. The other thing about, I didn't hear all that the purge. So if I'm repeating myself, just say, hey, cut it out. The other thing that I found with those purge towers is that, it's got to make sure it flows right and that kind of stuff. And we have the printer poop. I got a 32-liter thing full of printer poop over here that I'm trying to figure out how to recycle some fun stuff with. But the thing that I've learned since is that you can tell the slicer that when you go to purge to the infill. So if you've got something going on where you're not going to see what's inside the thing anyway, well, that's where you purge as much as you can there. So instead of purging wastefully over at the tower, you're purging inside of something useful. The other thing that you can do is say purge into object. So instead of that purge tower there, it'll still have a purge tower because it kind of has to for things it does as I understand it. But you can give it an object or a number of objects. So if you really don't care what the color looks like on the end, all those different color swaps, it'll basically draw another object with all the purge stuff instead of just dumping it in the trash or dumping it in something that goes in the trash. It's pretty cool. This is what I wanted to show you. This is what I've been, there's some, we're teaching some improving. We're teaching some kids some STEM stuff. And they came by my desk the other day and they saw some things I'd printed. And so I've now printed enough for all 7 of them to have both objects. And one object is a fidget spinner, which is annoying as hell, which is, I love those things. So this is what I just came off the printer today. This is something called a fat happy dragon. You look at it, kind of happy, definitely fat. This is a print in place thing. So all of this is it's just printed that way. There's no taking apart or putting together. The eyeballs and the horns, that's a filament swap as it goes through. It does all that auto magically. And it's easier than I thought. If you wanted to paint your own models, to do something this cool, it takes a little bit of effort. But to just paint your own models, like if you wanted to make this section blue and this other section red and that kind of stuff, the bamboo slicer does makes that really easy. I mean, there's some basic stuff there. It's not exactly sophisticated workflow, but you can do some things to make it really easy, a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
Hey, Harold, one of my daughters has a dragon theme. Is there any way you could send me that file or a link to that file?
Sure. I don't know that file exists right now because I got it on a PayPal. It was free. It wasn't. It may be paid for now because I can't find it on any of my stuff. Luckily, I've got my 3MF file here saved locally, and let's see if I can't send it your way there, Doug. Okay. You're on the Discord, right?
Yeah, I'm on there.
Okay, so let me see if I'll do that right now. I'll shut up for now. If somebody else would like to go and do all those sorts of things. And yeah, this is a tremendously cool model, by the way. Tremendously cool.
Yeah, I think she would enjoy it.
Well, thanks, Harold.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Doug, I believe you're next.
Okay, well, I just wanted to stop by and say I found out why my robot went off into the woods in 2022. I finally figured it out. I found out where I had put some coordinates in one of the subroutines as a test, for testing. So I had magic numbers inside of the routine. And so and I didn't take them out. So when I ran that program, instead what it did was it picked up those numbers as one of the coordinates and ended up sending it off into the East Hill. So anyway, I uncovered that bug today, 2 years too late. But anyway, as I'm moving on towards the rest of my program. So I just thought.
I suffered pretty much the same thing. I think that was the same year. I'm not sure, but when he tried to go across the lake, it was a typo. And because the sun was so bright, I couldn't tell on my laptop because I was plotting them also. I couldn't tell where the where the waypoint actually was. But yeah, it was straight across the lake.
Yeah. So anyway.
Wasn't hard coded though.
Yeah, it was obvious what I was doing was practicing in my backyard.
Yeah.
And so I just had one of the coordinates, I guess you'd call it the home coordinate, set up, and sure enough, it screwed it up. So anyway, I couldn't believe it when I was going through the subroutines, to check them for things, and I found that. God almighty. So
yeah, one of the years I brought a black sheet and stuck it over my head so I could actually see my laptop.
Yeah.
And it worked, but probably looked a little weird.
Yeah.
Hey Doug, I was wondering if you were lured enough by the F9P price on SparkFun, or if
it's still a little rich.
Antennas are still a bit dear.
Yeah. It's not so much that one wouldn't be too unreasonable, but the thought that you'd end up basically having to buy two, plus you'd have to have some sort of phone connection or something, and the whole thing's just like right now. Now, if after I've got my GPS solution, just using a regular GPS, I really want to explore using Kalman filters next year, and hopefully won't need that for my stuff now, but I'm not, trying to navigate down a field that's 20 acres and trying to keep a straight line with, where, if I deviate, I'm just taking the crops out. Chung, 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 chung. So I'm not trying to do that. So I'm not sure I need that right now, but I'm sure I'll get there eventually. Hopefully they'll have an M12 by that time.
So does Spark Fun have their FP9s on sale or something?
Yeah, they're $200 right now.
Yeah. Well, I think they've got everything on sale, to be quite all of the.
Yep, sales vary a lot. So some things are like 5% off, but the F9Ps are 20% off right now.
Yeah.
Huh. To look at that.
Yeah. So it would, like if you wanted to upgrade, Ray, because you already got kind of a solution already, that would definitely be, you could probably take the one you got right now and move it to the base station and use, I don't know, what do you use? Have you got two of them or one of them?
Yeah, no, I've got two Neo M8P-2s.
Yeah.
So one I set in survey mode, and it's the base, and the other one's the rover.
Yeah.
I don't know that the F9P gets you a whole lot more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, they also have some of the other things on sale too that you might be interested in. Like you said the antennas were on sale.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a 1 week sale, so.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take a look at that. Yeah, I think the claim was the M8P was like 2 centimeters. The F9P was like 1 centimeter.
1 centimeter, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's in Discord. I think Kareem put it in Discord under sensors, if I remember right.
I also put a link in the chat here.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess this is the time of the year to try to buy stuff. Who knows if Trump with his import tariffs is going to kill all trade with China for cheap electronics, or
Well, there was if you guys remember back a couple of years ago, stuff from China they were almost paying it to give it to you. I mean, shipping was free. It was free for everything.
Yep.
Now it's more expensive now than it used to be.
Yep.
But it's still available. Yeah. Yeah, I have been kind of giving AliExpress a glance over now and then to see if there's anything I want to pick up. Yeah. So that was the only thing I had to say. I'm still shooting to compete. I'm hoping to be ready. We'll see how it goes.
Me too.
Yeah. There's so many little details when you get into it. So, yeah.
Well, thanks, Doug.
Yep.
Does anyone else have something they'd like to question or share?
Yeah, I've got something I could share.
Great.
So my son is an entrepreneur, and he is developing this mushroom growing computer. Let me see if I can. You all see my screen?
Yeah.
So last week he was on Shark Tank.
Damn.
And he didn't make a deal with him, but it was good publicity for him. Here you can see the screen where Mr. Wonderful and the other guy are checking out the mushroom thing, and it's I'm quite impressed. He's not an engineer. He's not an electrical engineer, but this thing's got, computers in there, sensors in there. It's got a little mister or fog machine, a webcam. It's got a app for your phone. So
is this for, what do they call that? Psychotropic self-medication or?
I think you can use it for whatever you want. But I mentioned it to some coworkers, and they said they mentioned that word, and I had to Google it and see what exactly they're talking about.
Yeah.
But he said, yeah, there's studies going on for PTSD and so forth.
Yep.
Helping eliminate that. So he's got the first 1,000 made, and they're on their way to his shop in Austin, Texas. So he's going to be delivering within the next couple weeks.
Well, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
Kinda.
I'd almost say it's trippy.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have something they'd like to share?
Yeah, I was going to say maybe he should have given them the product before he gave the pitch. They might have been more receptive to it. Open up their minds a little.
That's right. That's a good point.
Well, guys, I guess we'll call it a night. So get busy, build robots. See you guys on Tuesday next week.
Thank you.
All.
All right. Take care.